Okay. Hello, I'm Irini Dimitriou. I'm talking with our senior practitioner, Christopher Drake, who teaches classical Buteyko method for more than 30 years now. Um, Christopher, I would like to ask you today, what advice would you give to someone that considers being a practitioner of classical Buteyko method?
Well, I think they should first really learn the method well themselves,
That's it.
develop it. I didn't. I did it the wrong way. But
Hmm.
Buteyko, Buteyko strongly recommended that practitioners, well, he insisted actually that practitioners become skillful themselves and develop a high degree of proficiency. And once they've treated their own diseases and sorted their own health out, then they come under the instruction of a practitioner, like an assistant, and they work with this other practitioner. And by that approach, they, they develop their skills, and they need to see a few thousand patients under supervision and under guidance until they're sufficiently experienced to do a good job. It's deceptively simple. It looks very simple. But, surgery is very simple too. You just cut. There's a knife, now cut. Surgery. Golf is very simple. Hit the ball into the hole. It's not very difficult. Playing the piano is also very easy. There's a note which appears on the sheet of music, and this note corresponds to one of the keys on the piano. What? It's very easy, right? The Buteyko practitioner is the same. What do we have at our disposal? Breath holding, shallow breathing, fasting, changing some lifestyle things, learning about medications, some physical exercise. But these tools are used in concert to get the result that we want. And it's straightforward. Yeah, I mean, what do we want to achieve? We want to reduce the depth of breathing to its physiological norm. Well, that's it. That's it. I've told you now. Now you know. You know all there is to know, except all the details. And whoever said that the devil is in the details, they knew something about details and the devil. Because it's the permutations of how this method works and what a skillful practitioner can do with it is extraordinary. And it's therefore you have to, they believe it's how you teach it or something. It's not really, it's how you wield it. Should a person do more pauses or less pauses? How should a person deal with cleansing reactions? And the skillful practitioner can show a person how to get through difficult cleansing reactions. And an unskilled practitioner, they might get scared themselves of cleansing reactions and back off when they shouldn't back off. Or they may proceed and be too brave when they should back off. So, the what like I think Vladimir, as far as I know, there may be somebody else, but as far as I know, he's the highest, most qualified practitioner living. Um, at least he was living a few days ago when I spoke to him. Um, it took him 7 years to get a diploma from Professor Buteyko.
Yes.
7
It does,
years.
it does not happen in 2 weeks.
No, no. I
No,
mean, you have to be skillful.
I know.
And I think it took me 5 years, but you see, it took me less time because I worked under Stalmatsky and we had thousands and thousands of patients. So you can't learn to be a Buteyko practitioner sitting in a classroom having lessons. You learn working with patients, but you don't want those patients to be, you don't want to learn by your mistakes with patients. You want to learn treating patients under the instruction or with somebody who knows how to deal with that particular disease and who knows how to persuade the patient what they should do. And because you see, we can't affect any treatment, the patient does it.
Yes.
Well, just before we gave this, we're doing this interview now, we were talking to one of your patients,
Yes.
what to do now,
Hmm.
So we have to tell her what to do, but because she's the one who has to do it, then she'll explain why and the approach she must take so that she's clear and so that she's going to do it and to report back so we can monitor the progress and so forth. But that's important. That's very important.
Yes.
So I've come to the conclusion that it almost requires great luck to find somebody who knows what they're doing. You know,
I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's like I've got a very old car. I like it. I think it's a beautiful car. Um, and it had some problems, and I went to various mechanics. They're all good. They're all professional, but not all of them know how to manage it.
Mm.
I found one. He knows this model very well.
Hmm.
So I go there with a problem, and oh yeah, he knows what to do. He knows exactly what the problem is, and he fixes it quickly and inexpensively.
Hmm.
So a good practitioner can make the big difference. And dealing with diseases or symptoms which you have no experience with, yeah, reducing the breath will invariably help. But there's an underlying mechanism which needs to be addressed, and that's the, I wouldn't say tricky part, but that's the part you have to know, you know. And these days, you see, it's interesting because Buteyko method nearly died, really, because Buteyko expected that this new practitioner should cleave to a senior practitioner and be his or her assistant. Yeah. And they should work with him for years. But that's not going to work because if some young practitioner wants to become a practitioner, what, you're going to become my assistant now? Who will pay you? How will that work? How will you earn income? You'll earn nothing or very little. So it's not going to work because you're going to leave your family in Greece and then work with me where I am. And what? How's it going to work? But with the internet, we are next. Anytime we need to talk, we can talk.
Yes.
You've got a difficult patient, you can call me up.
Mhm.
You know, and I really feel sorry because we trained practitioners and we did a bad job of it, not realizing this was in Australia. Because, and Stalmatsky was reluctant to teach practitioners. I was pushing him because back in those days, the method was new. He was getting fantastic results. And there was pressure from people saying you should teach people because, so, okay. So some guy comes from down from Queensland or up from Victoria, and he needs to work with Stalmatsky. He works for a week or 2 weeks or 3 months or what, and then goes back to where he's from and what? What, talk on the phone? It's very difficult. It was very difficult. So to get the level of, I was lucky because I was in Sydney, Stalmatsky was in Sydney. He stayed at my home. So we had many hours of discussions, plus we had the clinic, and so I was organizing the clinic and he taught there and I assisted him. And so I was fortunate. But those other practitioners that came to our clinic to learn the method, you know, I didn't realize it then, but now I realize how difficult is it. How much time, you know, can they spend? And it's not just the fee. We didn't charge a lot to teach them. I don't know, was it a lot or not, and we offered as much as they want. They can always come to workshops, but they can't afford to do that.
Mm.
You know, when will they become skillful enough? And so we tried to emphasize asthma and get them very skillful in asthma. But then sure enough, they get patients with other conditions. What are they supposed to do now? Not train them? You know, or then get us involved? How are we going to get involved? You know, they've got a workshop and two of the people one's got emphysema and the other one has chronic fatigue. How are we going to work back in those days? This was before the internet. If you can believe that.
Yes.
Well, there probably was an internet, but I didn't know what it was back in those days. So, you know, and so we went through a phase there where it was like yoga or like martial arts or like anything like that, you know. You would live with a teacher or work very closely with a teacher and become, you know, skillful that way. You'd get real experience.
Mm.
We could have offered that, but the people couldn't take that up because it would be too time consuming and too inconvenient. So we tried to make it available, and yeah, some people did manage to become quite proficient. Not all of them were failures, but most were not very deeply trained. It just couldn't practically. It's not that we didn't offer it; it's just that we couldn't practically organize it between the parties.
Yes.
Those who were in Sydney, they had a better chance because they could attend more workshops and learn more and get more experience. And now with the internet, oh, it's marvelous because even if you're holding a workshop and you're saying, you know, I've got these 3 students in my class, which I'm having difficult. Okay, then I'll come and visit the class, you know, and we can discuss what the situation is and solve it. And you can have the most qualified, most experienced practitioner, as far as I know, available to you. Just, you know, like a Zoom meeting, you know, and so which is fantastic. So
It's like classical method is kept alive.
so yeah, it's we're back now, back to the classical approach
Yes.
of working with, yeah. And you know what took me 20 years to learn, do you think I can teach it more quickly than I learned it? You think you will learn it quicker? How will it happen? I can sort of encourage, you know, like show some shortcuts, explain our mistakes, and you know what we would do better and how we could do it better in the future, the proper way to treat certain conditions, how to explain things to patients, what to do to students.
Mm-hmm.
um, but I mean, I think it's a very important method because this method gives a person the opportunity to manage their own health.
Yes.
They can actually take control of their own health. Well, not completely, but to a very high degree.
Mm-hmm.
They can, you know, like a mechanic with his own car, you know, some things, if it gets smashed up, well, you know, you need some specialists for the repair. But for normal repairs and so forth, he can maintain that car himself. And so I think it's a good, you know, any person who learns this method and becomes reasonably proficient, they can do a good, they can improve their own health, but probably more important than improving the health, but manage the health and address symptoms and avoid medications and hospitals and doctors and all this stuff. They can do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, with a little guidance from a practitioner, a bit of help, but generally they can, you know, improve their health quite dramatically. It's not a subtle method. It's very profound, I would say.
So, what does someone that experiences the beginner workshop and thinks about considering about becoming a practitioner, how, which are the steps that he could take to be trained from the team, from Learn Buteyko Online team?
Well, they just first of all they need to do the basic beginners course, intermediate, and advanced, and be have sorted out all their major health issues. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like got on top of things,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would attend workshops at first, just observing, and then
Yes.
after a while, then they can start to participate a little bit under supervision, and then they might work with various practitioners, you know, to get learn some different approaches from different practitioners, and then they might give presentations online explaining, trying to persuade people to learn this method, you know.
I know.
um, yeah, well, like you, I mean, you know, that's what, you know, I
That's what
mean,
I'm doing.
well, that's the first thing. I mean, if you haven't got any patience, then you don't get any experience.
Yes.
And if you don't get any experience, you won't get any patience. I mean, it's a chicken and the egg thing, you know. So if you don't, I had a lot of like health professional types, and I'm not, it's not a criticism, but their view or their modality, their mode of operating is that patients come to them. by referral or some little advertising or whatever. But we have to actually go out into the marketplace and explain to people, look, this will solve your asthma. This will solve your migraine headache. You've got a way out of chronic fatigue, all kinds of mental problems, respiratory problems, asthma, allergies, angina, high blood pressure, diabetes mellitus, sleep apnea, depression, all kinds of things that you can solve with this approach.
Mm-hmm.
So we run presentations and workshops, private training as well. So there's all kinds of modalities we can employ to inform people and make it available. And so, yeah, they have to become skillful in to persuade people.
Mm.
They have to be they have to be able to explain in a logical way why the method works, how it works. So when the person starts practicing, what they know what to expect and what they've been told happens. If you say to a person, yes, you'll get some reduction in symptoms, and then afterwards you might feel fluey or sick for a couple of days, but that will pass, and afterwards you'll be much, much more robust. Well, they know what to expect,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. But if they're practicing and then cleansing reactions start and they weren't told or advised that this will happen, or they weren't told how much work is involved. I'm surprised. I saw some Buteyko, I don't want to say the name of their company, but the name was sort of inferred that it was easy, it was easy method, it's the last thing I would call it. I think it's a very difficult and approach. It's effective. It's simple. Yes. Easy. Easy as lying, sitting somewhere and having a drink. That's easy. This is not easy.
No, it's not.
It's a big challenge. You change the most, this one of the strongest mechanisms in the body is the respiratory center and that urge to breathe and the feeling of air hunger. And you have to challenge that mechanism and retrain it. Easy. It's doable. It's like saying golf is easy. It's not easy for me. I found it quite difficult. I
Yes.
enjoyed it, but it was good, but it was not, I can't say it's easy.
I enjoy very much being trained from this team because, you're the most experienced practitioner worldwide. And I get to see how you're working, how Vladimir is working, how Martha is working. And it's very enriching. And I feel that I have the space and the openness to experience and to learn and to be supported. I felt from day one until now completely supported from you. I mean, in my work, and um, it's really a very enjoyable training and very exciting because I need to be interested of what I'm doing, not to be boring and the same stuff. And it's really the opposite. It's really interesting.
Well, that's surprising. That's a very curious thing because I didn't want to be a practitioner.
Hmm.
I was a businessman, and I didn't really. I'm not sure if I thought there would be a lot of money in Buteyko or not, but I thought it was very important.
Mm.
I did think that. and I thought it should go out there. Um, and that's why I got involved. And of course, like I had ideas. We would make money, obviously. And I assisted Stalmatsky because he needed an assistant. He was quite incapable to organize things because he barely spoke the language, and you know, so forth. So, okay, fine. So I'm assisting him, and naturally I'm observing what's happening, and I just found it very curious how it works. And I thought, this is, well, no, I never thought it was interesting, actually. I was continually being surprised because I
Mm.
always thought, oh, it's like that. Oh, okay. So I understand now. But then something comes up and something else has to be introduced to make it work in that particular situation. It was a surprise.
Mm.
And there was one surprise after another.
Yes.
And so and so I was just fascinated. And I went through a stage of thinking that I knew a lot about breathing and such things. I thought, my goodness, I know a lot, you know. And then a few years later and a few thousand patients later, I felt like I really know nothing. I'm, incredibly ignorant because this is a very big and very complicated field. And so I would, like a lot of people look at a career, they're not sure. Should I open up a sandwich bar? Or should I do a massage course? Or should I be an accountant? Or should I be a Buteyko practitioner? I think if you look at it like that, maybe it's not a good idea,
No.
because, and I don't blame people. I'm not saying, you know, that you're no good if you know, uh, you know, but it's not a job. It's a vocation. It's something that you have to be very, it's like, it'd be sort of like, oh, I wasn't sure. Should I become a dentist or should I become an artist? I'm not sure. Well, if you've got this question, you're not going to be much of an artist.
Yes.
You might be a good dentist. I don't know. So I found that the practitioners that were good or deep practitioners, they were fascinated by it.
Mm.
They thought it was amazing. They thought there's so many permutations of how you can, and the things you can do. And it's interesting because I've had many interests, run jewelry, business, gemstone business. I was involved in merchant banking, involved in the art world, entertainment, promotion, marketing, um, you know, uh, even some scientific interests. But in comparison, they were all quite tedious in comparison to this. This I found really interesting and really rewarding and also challenging. But yeah, so yeah, it's like the best job, I would say.
Me too. I would say the same. Thank you very much, Chris, for being
You're
here
very
and
welcome.
providing all this knowledge.
Well, I just passing it on, really, and I'm not really. I just been passing things on. I didn't develop anything.
Yes.
I'm sad to say. I mean, I can't think of any idea which I injected into the method, which is mine. Um, Well, maybe there's something, but I don't think, nothing comes to my mind. I just pass on what I was taught and what I've seen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And many times I thought to myself, how did this idea come to me? I mean, I feel very, I wouldn't say peculiar, but wake up and think to myself in the morning, geez, you've got something which is quite extraordinary here, something very unusual and very interesting and unusually. I mean, I've worked in these big alternative health clinics, I've operated medical centers and so forth. So I know what they do. I'm not against it, by the way. It is what it is. It's fine. But it's not, I didn't see anything. I don't know anything which was more profoundly powerful for the reversal of chronic disease. For the reversal of most of the most common diseases that plague humanity. Yes, asthma, allergies, angina, bronchitis, not cystic fibrosis so much, but you know, this
Blood pressure, diabetes, depression.
bronchiectasis,
Mm-hmm.
Crohn's disease, uh, diabetes, so forth. Um, I don't know anything which is anywhere near as effective as this approach. It's a huge medical discovery. It's a huge discovery. And whilst we've had many thousands of patients who, who got extraordinary results and have testimonies and so forth, we were never able to um, get the recognition, not for ourselves, but never able to really um, uh, so far have the method be recognized for its capabilities. I don't know why, but we weren't successful. Maybe we still will be.
Not yet.
Not yet, but who knows how long these things take.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Irene.
Thank you. Thank you
Very
very much.
welcome.